So, good evening and welcome to Science Films. It's Friday the 17th of July. It's 8 o'clock and we should be live. And welcome to our launch of the Good Soldier Schwejk. This is going to be an evening full of irony and full of paradoxes, because today, for launching our film, The Good Soldier Schwejk, out in the world, outside, we're doing the reverse. We're showing it where we are. I am standing where we filmed it. Exactly 3 years ago, on the 15th of July, 2 days, but it's the 15th of July 2017, 3 years ago, we were filming here on this stage, on those boards, The Good Soldier Schwejk. And this is the film that we made, and we made it from here, and we were planning to take it out on tour, first in the country, showing it in other theatres for people to discover it. Of course, those plans have been disrupted somewhat, and instead, tonight, on the anniversary of the 3 years, irony of ironies, instead of taking it out, I am showing it at the very place where we made it. So it was here, and obviously then there was a set for here, and the curtain opened on this audience to present The Good Soldier Schwejk. Of course, one of the other ironies and paradoxes of the evening is to be introducing a film to an empty auditorium. Our production of The Good Soldier Schwejk, which we shot here on this stage 3 years ago, is an adaptation of Jaroslav Hašek's The Good Soldier Schwejk, which was written in the late 20s, translated in German, and became hugely popular in Central Europe as a very iconic anti-war, anti-military book. It's written in a form of little episodes, little adventures, and that structure and the fact that it related to the First World War, which was within living memory of people, triggered a number of stage adaptations and cabaret acts based on the character of Schwejk, which has contributed to Schweik's becoming so popular and so famous. He symbolizes the common man objection to the absurdity of war. It's interesting to note that Hašek actually started writing the character, The Good Soldier Schwejk, before the First World War. It started in 1911, and in his first concept, it was actually performed in cabaret in Prague. And the form of the book lent itself to those stage adaptations, and we're partly in that tradition. So it's worth mentioning Piscator adaptation in 1913 in Berlin, and Joan Littlewood adaptation in 1939 in Manchester, before she came to Stratford East. And they all have in common the live performance, but they also have something else in common, as well as the Brecht version in the 40s, 1942, is that they didn't want to leave Schwejk stuck in the First World War as if the message in the book only relates to the First World War and only relates to somewhat an absurdity that only occurred then. It occurs every time man goes to war. And I suppose this is why the stage, the idea of having a live performance, having it now, having it today, where there is real people in front of real people delivering something that is effectively in the present tense, comes, rather than something which is parked in history and makes relegate the injustice or the absurdity to an oddity of the past, rather than something that is happening every time we go to war. Anyway, So this is why we did it as a stage performance. Not unlike some of Dickens' famous characters, the character of Schwejk has become somewhat of a tourist attraction. This is partly due to the famous illustration of Lada, who were made actually after the death of Hašek, and has portrayed Schwejk as a portly man, so jolly bumbly guy who get drunk too often. The original Schwejk was a youth of, like many other youth in the First World War, of 18 years old. He was called Tricycle, and in fact he was 23. And our Schwejk is a young man. It's relevant because the anti-war message is important for the youth of today rather than for the older generation. It's important for the young ones and for the future generation. And there maybe lay the final irony of it all. The situation we're in, presenting a film to an empty theatre, is partly due to this COVID-19, which makes the requirement for stopping all non-essential activities. But the irony of ironies is that arms deals and arms trade is still going on, while all theatres and all cinemas and all libraries and all schools are shut. There are people doing arms deals because that is perceived to be an essential activity. So there you are. I give you the Good Soldier Schwejk, and we continue.